Welcome to the Candle Business Coach podcast. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I am the Candle Business Coach. I'm also a mum of three and a kindness advocator. This podcast is all about making and selling candles, business development, and mindset, delivered to you with advice, inspiration, and motivation in a new episode every Friday. This episode is brought to you by the membership for candle makers, the Candle Makers Collective. Becoming a member gives you access to fortnightly online group Q&A coaching sessions to support you, monthly online workshops and trainings to help you grow your business, plus frequent expert guest speakers to inspire and teach you. You'll also have access to an ever-growing resource library with templates, guides, planners, and ebooks. But my favorite aspect of the membership is our exclusive Facebook group for accountability, connection, and support. So if you're looking to take your candle business to the next level and learn more about the membership for candle makers, click the link in the show notes for the Candle Makers Collective. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. Today we have another candle maker conversation, this time with the beautiful Nadia from Carbon Clear Candles. Now, Nadia and I have been chatting in the DMs on Instagram, and we've set up the podcast recording tonight. And we're both very excited to chat to one another about Nadia's journey and how she became a candle maker and how it's a little bit different from her day job. So, Nadia, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Thanks so much, Kirsty. Hi, everyone. I'm Nadia, a banker by profession and a candle maker by passion. I'm also a busy but proud mom of two and a furry kitty cat. I love nature and traveling to new places. This is my first podcast as a candle maker, so I'm truly delighted to be here and walk through my journey with Kirsty, a lovely candle coach.
So I've had many people on the podcast before, and I've had many candle makers specifically that have shared their journey, their origin story with how they got into candle making. But I'd love to hear your story, Nadia. So do you want to share with us how you became a candle maker?
Yes, sure. So this actually is very interesting because I've always had a deep association with scents. And this goes back to my childhood when I was fascinated by scented stickers, rubbers, and just became an avid collector of all scented things. This obsession evolved into perfumes and candles in my later teens, which lingered on up till now. So I guess during COVID, when things slowed down and we were asked to work from home, the silver lining for me during this period was to just use up those extra hours back into my schedule and try to learn something new. And I think essentially every other person was trying to tap into something new and learn a skill. So same goes for me. I took it as an opportunity to dive into my creative side, put the craftsman hat on, and just bring my deep-rooted ideas to the surface. And before I knew it, I got involved into a candle making course and a perfume making workshop, which was all online, but just a great opportunity for me to just get involved in those courses and learn something new.
I love how the passion that you have started from when you were young and continued on. And it's so interesting because many of the candle makers I speak to, some will say that they've had a passion from a young age, and some will say they just kind of fell into it at a later stage. So it's always nice to know that it resonates so well with me that like I also fell in love with candles and scent when I was young. And it's just one of those things that's just always been a constant presence in both of our journeys. And then to take that next step, to take that inspired action into, I think I can do this. I think I can make something of these dreams and desires and goals that I have and make a beautiful product and make a beautiful candle that you then can sell and share with the world. So I love that that's part of your journey and part of your story.
It was actually just a matter of connecting with that inner passion, I guess, for both of us, and just finding that time to self-reflect, really, because day to day, I don't think I get time in the chaos to think and reflect. So I guess it was just those extra minutes and that self-reflection that, encouraged me to just seize the opportunity and, like you said, create my own versions of the things that I always actually loved.
Yeah. So with your business, Carbon Clear Candles, it's such a unique name, and I'd love to hear how you came up with that name and what the meaning is for you.
So this obviously was a new initiative that I was ready to take up. and I wanted to take it up as a new project. So I wanted to apply the same approach as I would at work whenever we were given a new project. So there was an objective around it and a meaning around it, which was centered around love of nature. So although I wanted to make a difference, I wanted to keep nature at the heart of the whole project. So my main purpose became to create the greenest possible candle, which would help reduce the carbon footprint and offer more conscious choices for a holistic stress relieving experience. And I just started exploring, the ingredients around what I needed to obviously create this project. And I started exploring the magical properties alternative waxes and chose the cleanest of all, which was beeswax. And that is the key ingredient of my candles. Natural, eco-friendly, and aids well-being by, purifying the air from pollutants like dust, mold, and even keeping emissions at bay. So that was a very important part for me, the carbon emissions in the whole process. So while I did that, I also paid equal attention to sourcing 100% non-toxic jars, reusable packaging, and minimalistic presentation. So none of the glossy layered stuff. You'll just find very simple and sophisticated pieces around my whole candle world. So from wick to scent to wax to jars, these candles just needed an expression of their environmental impact versus the scent type that they release. So this was a kind of a different approach that I applied to the whole project. And voila, after scratching off a few names, I coined up carbon clear candles just to give that impact that the whole candle concept brings. So transforming your ordinary space into a more nourishing and safe space for the candle user and their loved ones. So basically, essentially, that's what the whole project is, and that's how I coined up the name.
It's amazing. When you hear or when you say the words carbon clear candles, like it rolls off the tongue so lovely. And it really does evoke these images of nature and fresh air and the clarity that you can get from lighting a candle and just sitting in that space of relaxation and calm, as opposed to the busyness of our day-to-day lives. So knowing that your ethos, your mission, your purpose for your business is so incredibly powerful, and that comes across in your social media, that comes across in when you're speaking with people about your business and sharing your journey. And that's why it was so exciting for us to chat on the podcast, because not every candle maker has such a strong lean towards carbon emissions and the environment. So it's nice to chat to you about something that I know is so passionate to you, and it comes across in the way you speak about your business. When thinking about your business, how do you complete everything that needs to be done? You mentioned before that you've got children and you work as well. So how do you juggle it all? How do you find the balance?
I have been in the corporate world for the past 18 years. So again, that's nothing new to me. In a perfect world, a day in my life can sail smoothly when all systems go. But we all know that that is very rare. So over the years, together with my family, we do have a running system in place, and we all work as a team and step in to help each other whenever needed. And there is a set way to do things in the house. As for my business, obviously, especially at the time of launching it, and even now, I have to manage conflicting priorities. And the first thing I do, and this ties in with my professional life as well, is knowing what is urgent, what is the difference between urgent tasks and important tasks. So I use this approach to battle personal, professional, and my candle business world. There are two barriers I usually have to overcome. The first one is workload, or how many tasks I have at hand that I need to complete. And the second part is to move those tasks forward for maximum productivity. So I have developed these few action taking methods to help me complete the multiple tasks I have. So the first method that I usually use, and this is something that I often do, is assigning a less fun or boring task with a more exciting part of the process. So for example, in the candle world, this means that cleaning the candle equipment is the most tedious task I find and the most boring one. And I just try to avoid doing that. So I always make sure that before I start making a new batch, Even if I have a clean pot, but if I have some unclean equipment, I wash that up, I sanitize the whole space, and then embark on the new batch. So this is a very effective method for me. The second one is to eliminate distractions. So this, again, because there are so many things going on around me, I have to block time and set it as a sacred time to finish an activity. Again, this is, for example, very important to me when I am pouring my candle mix into the jars. I make sure, and especially when I'm doing a large batch, I have to make sure that time is just blocked for me to just do that, and I have to fully concentrate on it without being distracted here and there. So that's also a strategy that I use. And the third one that I use is the efficient utilization of time. So sometimes, obviously, you need some stimulation, impetus to the process. So I usually do this by pairing pleasant with unpleasant. So this means, for example, if I'm trying to come up with a formula or I have some dry reading to do, I would just do it in my favorite coffee cafe and, just sip away a coffee and just get that reading done and get that formula sorted. Because with candles, for every batch or every order that I take, I have to actually come up with the formulas. You have to come up with the correct measurements. So that part I usually find, again, a bit difficult. So I make sure that I have a pleasant environment and I just sit in there and be more creative. Playing classic music in the background also adds a stimulus to my performance. So sometimes I do that as well while I'm producing or making the candles. So yeah, these are a few methods, action taking methods as I call them, that help me make my candle making process fun and easy to do.
What great tips and strategies that not only are you utilizing in your day-to-day and in your business, but the listeners can take those ideas and those strategies and implement them as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love how you pair the fun and the unfun together. Like, it levels itself out. Like, you're so excited to make the candles and to make a new product, but then you've got to clean the equipment or you've got to do something that might not be as fun. So it's about having that self-control, that discipline, the delayed gratification, and knowing that everything that needs to be done will get done, but the way that you're prioritizing it makes sense to you. And it's really great advice.
Whenever you especially even in your personal time, there's always dirty bits to do, and then there's always fun stuff to do. So I think, like, even in my personal life, I wouldn't shop until I clean the house. So it just works well in every sector, I think. So yeah.
That's so funny, because I'm the same thing. Like, when I came home, like when I was in high school, I'd come home and I'd get changed out of my uniform and I'd do my homework, and then I would go and play games, or I'd go and have fun, or I'd do something more exciting. But it really helps having that discipline to get what needs to be done first before you then can go and enjoy. Because if you're doing all the enjoyment stuff first, you've still got to get that other stuff done eventually. And if you tilt it in that way, it can make the whole process a little bit less fun overall, because you're still thinking about, I've got to go do that task afterwards, and it just plays on your mind. I'd love to know, what has been your biggest win in your business so far?
This would be in two parts. The first part, being able to establish and sustain my candle business, was very big for me. And with family commitments and a full-time job, making sure that I don't compromise any area. This obviously is my biggest win. The second part to this is my candle community. So every day, obviously, I'm trying to bring candle ideas to life. And the next step to this is to share them with the community. So to build a word of mouth clientele is such a warm and fuzzy feeling. And I'm so delighted to have that warm group of clients that are positive and that are so supportive. So initially, my clients were individuals, households, and just moms and family and friends. But now I've managed to expand the client reach to a few B2B orders, fundraising, event-based, birthdays, occasional celebration. So, this has really, really been a big win for me. There's still so much to scale. I'm not saying I've conquered it all, but just to be able to tap into each segment with constructive feedback and returning client orders, I think is also a very big win for me.
There's something very different about a first-time customer as opposed to a returning customer. When a customer first orders from you, it's very exciting. You hear the ching sound go off on your phone. You get you get excited because you've made a sale. But then when they come back for a second or third or multiple times, you know that they're in love with your candles. They love your business. They love the ethos, the mission, and they love you as a business owner behind the brand. And there's something that's just that's just that next level warm and fuzzy when you're building a repeat order business. And so, just congratulations on all of your success so far and the work that you're doing, because where you are is very inspiring to many candle makers. And I think it's important to be grateful and humble about the achievements that you've had. And I think you do that so beautifully in that you're proud of what you've achieved, but you know that you've got more goals that you want to strive for. Have you faced many challenges along your candle making journey?
Oh, yes, so many. I don't even know where to start from, but I'll share some initial ones, which were obviously the hardest to overcome. The first one was overcoming self-doubt and fear of age. I'll be very transparent. I kept thinking I'm too old to do this. And, I felt scared, nervous, even a bit crazy that why am I doing this? Who's going to buy from me? And, who's going to care that these are my products and, understand the concept behind them. But for some reason, I just kept my focus and I just started and kept going. And as I kept going, the feeling goes away as well. So the feeling of self-doubt and the feeling of, why I'm too old, it just goes away. And as I was learning, I felt the joy, especially on honing my skills, not my age. That just served to be very, I guess, motivational as well for me. And before I knew it, I was already creating candles. So that was my initial, I guess, challenge. The other one was once obviously I started making candles and looking for. So we are a Aussie made and owned licensed candle making company. So therefore I had to look for visible suppliers in the local market to obviously manage the license. So obviously with COVID and other challenges, it was not easy. And, even to find the right suppliers who also understand your business requirements. And I did not have any experience with this. So I did not know how difficult it is. I did know that it takes a team, sometimes an army, to make things work. It's not just you. I believe in teamwork, but I just did not know how difficult it would be to find supplies to make your product. So I had the most difficult time, for example, finding the right label maker. So I do design the artwork of my labels myself, but I just couldn't find the right person to do the second part of the job. And I avoid entangling in any petty argy-bargy. Such a waste of time. So there were, I think, 2 I tried and it just didn't work out. They were not creating what I wanted. So it was a bit discouraging as well. But, then I dealt with a few small business buyers and I found out that I loved dealing with them and they focus more on quality, happy and healthy values and are less commercial. So it was just, a matter of connecting with those right, responsible suppliers. And then you're also supporting, obviously, the right initiatives because their values align to yours. And then, you can just take it from there. So I guess that was my other big challenge. But at the end, I got there. It's still an ongoing challenge to keep reassessing where you get your supplies from and, make sure that you're sourcing clean and supporting the right businesses. So that was my second one. The third challenge that I faced initially was setting the optimal price point, which was acceptable and affordable. So more so, it was also reflective of the candle's benefit. So I suppose in the beginning, you're a bit low on confidence as well, and you tend to pick an aggressive price point, which would actually deem your product more inferior. So I was just conscious of that. So that took me some time to come up with the right price point, reflecting what my candle truly offers. So I suppose I also learned that being thoughtful and careful when picking your price, identifying the market position, and what is your target customer segment. So just keeping all of that in mind, I finally worked out what was the accurate and right price point for my product. There would be many others, like around measurement discrepancies and accurate formulas and so many other things that you test and trial. Candle making is not just about following a recipe, right? And with my project, I actually came up with my own recipes for every candle scent that I make. So it's not a matter of just, oh, here's a list of ingredients and here's the method of creating and just go ahead and create it. It's about finding the right formulas, working with different ingredients, and then, making the best product that is ready to be sold. So yeah, I guess there were a lot of tests and tries during the whole production process as well. The other one would be the temperature. So Sydney has been really, really difficult with consistent temperature, which is, again, very important in candle making. I call it atmospheric consistency. There has been none. So that made it a bit hard. And again, if I came across cracks and crevices in my candles, I would just be like, oh my God, I can't do this. And, and then you all of a sudden think that, you just don't know it, right? But then again, you learn through the process, you learn through experimenting. And finally, you learn how to troubleshoot as well. You learn the techniques to bring out the best product. So yeah, those were a few of my challenges, but there are so many more that you have to constantly overcome and keep going.
Yes, definitely. We experience quite a range of different challenges along our candle making journey. And it's not just the candles, but it's also the business side as well. And when you're able to have a mindset of, I'm going to work through this, I can figure this out, I can troubleshoot, it makes the whole process and journey a little bit more smoother. There are going to be hurdles, both personally and in your business, along your journey. But if you don't persevere through the challenges, if you don't work through them, your business won't go any further. So it's so important to know that you won't necessarily have the same challenges as every candle maker, because we've all have different experiences and we bring to our business different levels of skills and expertise. But if you have the right mindset, it makes such a huge difference. And I think that you do that really well. You view each challenge as an opportunity for growth. And I think that's something that is very important because, as I said, there are going to be challenges. So when you're able to overcome one after the other, it builds up your confidence and it builds up your resilience. Are you ready for personalised support for your candle making journey? Hi there, my friend. I'm Kirsty Allen, the Candle Business Coach, and I help candle makers like you with mindset and business strategy, as well as troubleshooting your candle making struggles. With my private coaching, we'll work together to set and achieve your goals. And whether you need a single session for clarity or a series of sessions for ongoing support, I'm here to help you every step of the way. Check out the show notes for details of my private coaching sessions and packages, and let's achieve your goals one candle at a time. What are your goals for your business? Where do you see yourself going in the future?
So I think with goals, and again, this is very important to me to have clear goals for my business. I see them in two dimensions. The first dimension is around what is working well and what I'd like to continue doing. And this revolves around staying true to name. So the key driver of my small business is its name. And as I already discussed, the journey behind the creation of the name. So I want to continue creating harmonious spaces to nourish both mind and soul while being kind to the environment. So no shortcuts here, and just keep this going. In this process, I also want to make sure that my scents that I create are centered around stress relief and they are androgynous. So I'm creating at the moment, whatever scents I create are unisex. and inclusive. So I want to make sure that I keep doing that. So I don't want to get into all the pressure of making a masculine scent or a, strong scent. It's always going to be, whether it's strong or not, whether it's it comes out off as a very light scent, subtle scent, or strong scent. It's always going to be a neutral scent, which works well for anyone. So anyone can pick it up and just work well with it. And I also want to mention here that most of the scents that I create are also pet friendly. So I did a lot of research on pet friendly scents because of my kitty cat, and he's one of the brand ambassadors for my page. So I want to keep that true as well. So all the scents that I usually come up with are good for anyone. So anyone can light them up and enjoy the tranquility and sense of calm around those scents. So I want to keep that part going. And the second dimension to the goals is what I want to improve. And again, this is equally important to me. There's this saying that goes, lighting a candle under a basket and expecting it to illuminate the room is not going to happen. So by this, what I mean is that I want to increase my client reach. At the moment, as I aforementioned, I rely mostly on word of mouth clientele. I definitely want to go beyond and take the next step. I think for this, I will need to invest more in social media strategy. So at the moment, I think I don't give enough time and effort to my social media space. So I might, in the future, try to, invest more into this space, maybe come up with another social media platform. At the moment, it's just Instagram and obviously my website, but I might, try to add more to this. I also want to try to tap into markets and discover more ways to grow face-to-face client base. I haven't done any markets as yet. So that would be another thing I could, possibly look into. Also get more involved in coaching and support, which is why I'm here and truly happy to connect with your network, because I think this is also something I need in my learning and growth journey. And this ties in with my second part of what I want to improve, which is paying attention to opportunities. So again, I'll give an example here. So I want to improve my bulk stock availability, as big orders assume that you have enough stock to fulfill them. What happened was 3 days before my vacation last month, I was asked to do a few hundreds of candles for a very important event that I would have absolutely loved to be part of. But sadly, I had to decline because I couldn't have done a rush job because I just had 3 days and I didn't have enough supplies. So I did do a portion of it. I did deliver a portion, but I just couldn't deliver the full order. What I did right was to let them know beforehand what I could and could not do, so I could manage their expectations upfront and not disappoint them at the end. And this is, again, something that's very important to me, and I've learned it the hard way in the past in my professional life. So that was very clear what I could and could not do. However, I definitely considered it as a missed opportunity, even though it was for the right reasons. I want to improve my stock availability for future situations. And I guess if something like this happens again, I want to be better prepared for it.
We've spoken a little bit about trying to balance all the different things. If you were to break down your weekly routine, what would that look like as a small business owner?
As a small business owner, my week revolves around planning, prioritizing, and at times late night pouring, depending on obviously the orders and what's tasks at hand. Given that the weekdays are blocked out for my 9 to 5 job, I usually utilize my morning commute to check emails, connect with suppliers, stock ordering, or just to research and read. I suppose I could also use that time for marketing, but like I said, I don't invest enough in marketing. So that's my commute time in the morning. But there are so many aspects around product development. So candles is not just about creating the candles. There are so many other things that are also important to me, two being reporting and regulatory side of the business. So I also keep constantly reassess formulas, new information, and even regulations around the candle world. So I know I'm creating safe products So there's a lot of safety, especially when you use essential oils. You have to be abreast with all the safety standards. So sometimes this also means feeding off US-based data because they're big on candle regulations. So I usually free write the information available or resources available from US-based sites, and I just try to keep on top of these regulations and also the formulas that I'm using. So just, I think last week I was telling my husband that it was so laborious. I went through my formulas, I reassessed everything, and it was just so analytical because, writing down each and every measurement, conversions, it just gets really, engrossing. So, but at the end, I told him that, it all aligned and it made me really happy and more confident that I am doing the right thing. So that's something I also do, and mostly during the week. My weekends, on the other hand, are dedicated for practical and execution work around candles, including managing orders, production, experimenting, and depending on which part of the process needs my attention the most. So the beauty of this small business is that I have control over the time management and balancing workload according to my commitments. So yeah, that really helps me manage my diary and my business.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
Being involved in the end-to-end production line. That's my favorite part. It's my mental escape, pure relaxation from oil blending to melting to pouring, even labeling and packaging. I love it all. And even when my husband says maybe you should try to get help, I'm like, no, I want to do it all by myself. But again, that does not mean that won't change down the lane. But for now, I am just enjoying all the aspects and seeing the end results and just, stepping back and just appreciating it all is the happiest part of this business. The whole journey is also elevating my confidence, resilience, and staying power. So it's actually making me a stronger person as well.
That's beautiful. It's so important to have those moments where you can reflect on what the journey does for you and how you can learn and grow personally and professionally in your business at the same time. And when you have that appreciation for the journey and you have that appreciation for the privileges you have in your life, it makes those challenging days less challenging, because you've got that perspective of how lucky am I to be able to do this? Like, I enjoy it so much. It brings me so much joy. And when you're feeling like there's a challenge that you're experiencing or motivation levels might be low, you can look back and think, wow, look what I've achieved so far. Look how far I've come from when I first began. And that's something that's so important. And it's a great mindset hack to have that gratitude and appreciation and to acknowledge it when you do feel low.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to always remember your greatest hits and not to forget, and especially when during those low drive days, I do tend to vacillate between high and low drives. But that's when you sit and you reflect, like you said, on all that you've achieved and all what went well. So yeah, I do use this strategy a lot as well, especially when I'm down or overwhelmed. It just helps boost my confidence again.
What gives you motivation to keep going when things get tough?
So reflecting on the full purpose of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and the level of fulfillment it brings to my mind and soul. I think this is very, very important. Keep reminding yourself of the purpose. The foundation of my business is purely on intrinsic motivation. So I do not attach any pressure or paychecks to it. At least for now, I don't. I want to sustain this relationship with my business. And I just think this business is not a sprint for me. It's a journey to learn and share my joy with the world. So I just want to maintain and sustain this relationship to my business. And at times when I feel stuck, or I fail to move forward with, for example, if I'm working on something or I'm trying to create or experiment and I'm just not moving forward, even if I give my 100%, that's when I stop. So sometimes you have to just take a break and take a step back and just let your mind wander. And, I call it the stop and restart strategy. And I feel like it helps me. And when I go back into it, I just come back stronger. I don't know what it is, but, I think it's just releasing yourself from that pressure and just resetting yourself and then coming back stronger and more clear. So especially when I timetable batches for large orders. So I'm working on one right now. I always block a few extra hours, sometimes even a day or two, to counter any unforeseen emergencies or, mental situations when you just don't feel like doing it. So I always keep room for that. And that just for the sake of my own sanity. So that always helps. And then, you just get back into it. So I think always keep strategy to self-regulate in times of turbulence. For me, personally, that means also increasing positive interactions. Mentoring is very important to me. I use this in my professional life as well. You at times need guidance and advice from someone you can trust and someone who is genuine to give you that right piece of advice. So that helps. It also serves as a quick validation fix, which sometimes we need as well. I'm not big on external validation. I believe in your inner joy that brings you validation, but still, we are all humans, and at times we do need that fix. So I think mentoring helps with that as well. Other than that, like you've been saying previously, gratitude and recovery are the key currencies to manage your creativity. If you're happy, if you're grateful, you're happy. And if you're happy, you create.
How do you define success?
Waking up every day is a blessing and success in itself. But I reckon success is a personal concept. Everyone will define success differently. For me, success is about adding value and being a person of value. So being good at what you do, capable of making meaningful contributions and developing confidence. In terms of my candle world, my success ties in with my biggest win, which I talked about earlier around launching the business, but most importantly, to fully unlock my potential, enable my creative expression, and share it with the broader community. This is the biggest success for me. And to learn to balance it all, which is work in progress. I haven't fully achieved it as yet, but I am learning every day. And also giving voice to my platform, which is happening now. So post this podcast, this will be another feather in my cap.
Amazing. Nadia, we've come to one of my favorite parts of the podcast where I ask all my guests 3 questions relating to candles. Number 1, what is your favorite candle fragrance?
This is like asking me who's my favorite child. I love all my candles. Each carries a specific purpose, which is unique from the rest. But my signature candles will always be closest to my heart, which are Sukoon and Carbon. These are the very first scents that I blended. Sukoon because it's the most expensive feeling, yet free. Every human desires to achieve this feeling in their lifespan. So for those who don't know, Sukoon is an Urdu language word, which means state of calm, relief, and wholesomeness. The other one is Carbon because it defines the core values of these candles. So the scent is like taking a stroll through pine trees with notes of honey. So these two definitely will always be very, very close to my heart.
Number 2, what do you love most about candles?
The whole sensory experience, especially its effects on uplifting moods. They're like magic jars. Once opened and lit up, they just engulf your senses. I just love this around candles. And they have always been my visual cue, adding vitality to my room during my teen years. Up till now, they sit on my desk and help me relax and meditate in stressful times. So my collection, I consider my collection to be a soulful sanctuary, and I hope that's how my clients feel about them as well.
And then the last question is, what is one piece of advice you'd like to give to candle makers?
No one will manage your inner genius, ideas, or help you bring your visions to life. Only you have control over your dreams. So overcome overthinking and self-doubt, whether it's self-imposed or by others. You have to do the work to gain that confidence. So keep melting, pouring, experimenting with a never give up attitude. Set realistic expectations along the way. Celebrate the small wins. There will be spills, I think, mistakes, and even repetition. So candle making can be very repetitive as well. But I guess here lies this insanity to expect different results each time you create. And lastly, and most importantly, to be very open to suggestion and feedback, like ignoring negativity and picking sense from nonsense, as my grandpa used to say, and becoming better every day.
Thank you so, so much, Nadia, for those words of wisdom and for this beautiful conversation that we've had tonight. For any of the listeners that would love to get in touch with you, where can we find you online?
You can access my small business brand on Instagram at Carbon Clear Candles. My website is carbonclearcandles.com.
Thank you again so much for being on the podcast. It's been a real joy chatting with you tonight, and I can't wait to hear what the listeners think of our conversation.
Thanks so much, Kirsty, for having me.
Thank you, my friend, for listening to this episode. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout the conversation, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you're feeling inspired, I would love it if you would write a review for the podcast and give a 5-star rating. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.